I said, I got to talk. I got to tell what I feel. I got to talk about my life as I see it.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Built for Anything podcast. I'm your host, Hertz. I got a real special guest here today for you guys. Jonathan Blake Vasquez, one half of the Truth Hurts podcast. Shout out to Harold.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Harold. This is Jonathan Blake Vasquez, from the host of the Truth Hurts podcast.
Listen, we're going to have some fun today. But before we get started, guys, I got to start off with my usual disclaimers. All right.
Uh-oh.
If this is your first time listening to this podcast, there's a few things you need to know right off the bat. There will be cursing. All right. This is explicit podcast. All right. So there will be cursing. All the opinions and thoughts are my own opinions. If it offends you in any way, I don't mean to, but it is what it is. All right. So let's get on with the show.
Let's do it.
All right. So JV.
Yes.
Good to have you on, brother.
Man, it's good to be here, man. It's good to be alive. It's another day, another dollar. I'm just glad that I'm in your presence right now.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Now, I wanted to talk. Let's first start off with your podcast, man.
Okay.
What got you into doing podcasts?
Oh man. Well, first of all, it's a long story. So basically, I'm gonna make a long story short. Basically, I was at my house and I was just trying to figure out what I want to do in my life. You know what I mean? Just thinking about what am I good at? You know what I mean? I see everybody else doing their individual things, you know, making clothes, whether it's that or shooting videos, doing photography. And I felt like I didn't have a niche. And I was kept this voice kept playing in my head. And it was my friend. His name is Donnell. Shout out to Donnell. He kept, like, for some reason, I had just spoke to him, and that his voice was in my head, and he was saying, "You talk too much. You talk too much." And I was like, I don't know why. That was just in my head. So I was just thinking about it. And at the time when I was that voice was in my head, I was listening to Taxstone podcast, man, free Taxstone, and I was like, wait, I could do this. I could, I'm a good shit talker. You know what I mean? And I'm very raw and uncut, and I feel like that's what people want to hear. And so I decided, I immediately did research on podcasts and trying to figure out how to start one. And from there, man, I made a baby. You know what I mean? And it took me a while to really get my direction of the podcast because, I just kind of went in there, just dipping my feet in the water, just trying to see, what can I do? And I was everywhere with my podcast with the topics when it went from hip hop to females to whatever it is. And I was going by Mr. JV at first, but it took trial and error, and finally I found what I really wanted to talk about, and that's just being raw and uncut and tell the truth, expose the truth out of everything.
What's interesting that I find is that with podcasts, a lot of brothers that I speak to don't really listen to podcasts.
Really?
Everybody, they're into video, they're into Snapchat, like everything is geared towards visual.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you choose a podcast over what most people usually do, which is video?
Well, I would say I'm a visionary, so I see things before I know, like, I see things that are just early on, and I know it's going to be, popping later on. So I was paying attention to podcasts when I first listened to Taxstone, and then I started listening to other podcasts. And I was like, wow, this is a market right here. This is a market that's is really untouched. And so I found I could see there's an opportunity for where I could fit in and I can make an impact in this podcast community. Because I didn't see nobody my age doing it. And nobody, like, the only older people I seen doing it. And I'm 24 years old. So I was like, man, this is something that nobody's doing my age. And I don't want to attack you.
What made you, now you're one half of the show. So how did you and Harold kind of come together, or your partner? How did you guys come together and decide to do this?
Right. Well, first the podcast just started with just me. The first episodes was just me. You can even go back into our archives and you can tell that it was just me. The first, I believe, 3 episodes. But he was a frequent guest on the show. Every time I linked up with him, because he lives in New Orleans, and we did a podcast together because he's a guy that likes to talk too. You know, he's a guy that likes to tell the truth and he likes to expose the truth just like me. And it just happened organically. It just really they didn't really plan it out. It just kind of happened. And I was like, hey man, come on, why don't you just be a co-host and we can do this thing together? Because when me and him are together, it's we ain't nothing to play with.
What type of messages, what can people expect from your podcast?
Oh man, you can expect to learn something. You can expect to laugh. You can expect we're gonna open your third eye. You can expect that. Informative podcast, but it's also, it has its episodes where we're just straight comedy. You know what I mean? Because I would say I'm the more of the comedic kind, and Harold's more of the serious guy. You know what I mean? But he also has a little sense of humor as well. So that's how we do it. And that's what you're gonna learn.
Even with my podcast, I try to make sure that some of the things that I talk about are things that people could take away. It's all good to have entertainment. It's all Definitely. Good to laugh and joke, but there's a lot of things that's going on around us, and people don't really know how to break everything down. So it's good to be able to have people something that you could listen to. And I encourage a lot of brothers out there, listen to his podcast. Ladies too, listen to his podcast, and just listen to podcasts in general. Like, I don't know what it is, but I get a lot of brothers when I mention a podcast to them, it's like it just goes way over their head. You got to understand, like, there are so many influential people that are doing podcasts, and you have to understand that when it's an unfiltered way for them to really sit down and give you a lot of information at one time. It's the reason why there's audiobooks, right? Because people want to be able to listen to it while they're driving in their car or doing something else. You got to take podcasts as an audiobook. And so it's just get up on it, fellas. Get up on it.
You couldn't have said it any better. That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, it's an audiobook. And there's always something to learn on podcasts. You can learn, even if it's just like one little line that the guest or the host said, like that's all you need. You know what I'm saying? If you take one line, then that can go a long way. And that's what the podcast I listen to and the podcast that I do, I want to teach somebody or want to learn something.
So let's move forward a bit, because I know you got a lot of skills. You got a lot of things going on, man.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about, photography. I know that's your thing as well.
Yes, sir.
You might want to plug in your Instagram real quick.
Oh, yeah. You can follow me at Jonathan Blake Vasquez. That's my full name. I know my mom named me that. I don't know why. I'm Mexican-American named Jonathan Blake Vasquez. I don't know.
You got it right with the last name, though, Vasquez.
Yeah, the last name on point. But the Jonathan Blake, I don't know, man. A little Caucasian in me, but hey, nothing Caucasian in me. It just sound like I got some money.
Okay.
I embraced it. You know what I'm saying? If you got things that you're kind of shy about or just kind of just embarrassed about, just embrace them. You know what I mean? And that's what you got to do with things like that.
Well, with photography nowadays, man, everybody has a cell phone and everybody's taking pictures all over the place. But I know that, you take pride in what it is that you do. Talk to the people about, like, what got you into photography, because that's a form of content. It's an art form as well. Talk to people about that.
Well, okay, so I really started taking photography serious about a year ago, but before then I was doing photography just for fun though. It wasn't, I didn't know what I was doing, didn't know what a shutter speed, ISO, whatever, didn't know anything technical about the camera, just kind of was shooting. What first got me into it was an artist that I was working with. He's actually a close friend of mine, and he needed content, for the internet, for social media. And I just started, I wasn't doing nothing. Like I said, this is before the podcast. So I'm not the type of guy just to twiddle my thumbs and sit and just stand around and be your entourage. Like, no, I want to work. You know what I mean? And so I was like, let me pick up this camera. It was actually my roommate's camera at the time, and just started shooting. And from there, I think it grew from there. I always knew I was good naturally. And so I was like, let me think of, there's a time like that, like where I started the podcast, where I had to sit back and kind of like figure out what else can I do, what can make me money. And the podcast, I loved it, but it wasn't making me no money. So I was like, not yet. Yeah. Wasn't making me no money. And so I thought about the things that I was good at and the things that I want to do. podcast is something I wanted to do, something I'm good at, photography. So I started taking it serious, started going to school for it, and getting better as the time goes.
One thing I'll say too, man, just in watching you, you definitely been hustling, man. Because I know most people just kind of stick to one niche of things. One minute I see you, you taking photos for graduations. You do some portraits, some headshots. It seems like you like to broaden, your horizon.
Yeah, definitely, because I don't believe in just sticking to one thing. You know what I mean? I'm a creator. We are creators at the end of the day.
So I know one of the things that you getting into now also is the video aspect.
Oh yeah.
I remember it's ironic because when I was on your podcast, this was back in what was that, January?
I think so. I believe so. It was January.
I think it was January. And I remember you asking towards the end about, really getting into video. You mentioned, YouTube, and, I gave you some insight around that. And, I always say that, you got to be willing to share information, but also people got to be willing to take the information, actually apply it.
Right.
So you didn't just kind of take the information and just not ever pursue it. Now you started to pursue it and you've been getting, some good traction. Talk to the people about, what type of videos, that you're getting into now. What is it that you want to see come from videography?
Videography right now, I'm doing music videos, just like promo videos, anything like that, tutorials. I could do it all. You know what I mean? I'm not limiting myself. What I see out of video, what I see in the future, I see making films, just like you, and you're influencing me to get into filmmaking, and it's not something that I thought I was gonna do. It kind of just came to me. You know what I mean? Like I always kind of had my hands in video too, just like photography. When I worked with the artist, I worked with the artist with video as well. I didn't do his music videos, but we did like a web series that we had, and people were liking it. You know what I'm saying? They were like, it was causing traffic to the YouTube channel because we were doing stupid interviews of drunk people. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to be entertained, so we were the entertainers, and that's what started me with video, just like photography.
He brings up film. We did a little short film back in February around Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny because to this day, people that I know that have seen it, they always mention your part towards the end when you gave that smirk.
Yeah.
And so you guys out there, go to Built for Anything on YouTube. You'll see the short film there. This was something that we just kind of put together, and it actually came out pretty well. So definitely more to come on that.
Yeah, and I was acting, and I love acting actually. Like I want to get to everything about filmmaking. I want to be an actor too, man. I don't want to limit myself. You know what I mean? So that's just something that I like doing too. It kind of puts me in an uncomfortable situation that I like to be in. I embraced it.
And I want to speak on that real quick because obviously, you're a young brother, and I noticed that you're wanting to learn. It kind of reminds me of how I was, around your time. It was just like you just wanted to just absorb everything. And I find a lot of people, they don't, I don't know if it's pride or whatever it is, like people just, they're not receptive to information, or they're not wanting to open up themselves. I noticed that you're really okay with saying, okay, I don't know this, what do I need to learn? And then you take the information, you go home, and I'm sure you study, you do what you need to do on your own, and you come back with some information, but you still want to learn. Talk to me about like what, why is that the case? Because most people are not like that. What is it about you that gives you that maturity? Is it something, the way you was raised? Was it, what can you speak on that?
I believe it is. It has a part to play in it where I didn't have a dad, like I have a stepdad, but it's not the same as your real dad. So your real dad, he teaches you everything, and he kind of like gives you the path to walk. You know what I'm saying? It kind of gives you something to guide you. I wasn't really guided, to this point. It kind of just found my way here. And I think me as a little boy, I always asked questions about everything, every little thing. I always wanted to know more. I always wanted to learn more. I was very interested in everything, just as a little kid, and it just stuck with me as time went. I just wanted to keep learning. I see the times are changing, and I want to learn the new things. I want to be ahead of the game, and that's just how I kind of grew up. And I just I don't know. That's just how I am. I can't even really explain how I came, how it just started like this, but that's just how I am.
Yeah, and one thing too I noticed about you is that you're good at maintaining relationships, right?
Oh,
because when we first, like I said, when I came to do the actually, let me rewind a little bit for you guys. The way we met was actually at a fair, an event that was going on here in Dallas through a mutual friend. It literally, I want to say maybe the conversation lasted maybe 5 minutes. It was just
I would even
passing.
say that. It was probably like 2 minutes.
Yeah, probably less than that. I had my camera with me. He had his camera with him. Naturally, it was just like, oh, what are you shooting with? I'm shooting this. This is what I do. This is what you do. And it was just like, okay, I'm on Instagram. You're on Instagram. Catch you down the road. And he actually, reached out. As I started to put more things out there on social media, he reached out to me and said, come through for a podcast. And so I came through for the podcast, did it. Could have just ended there, but you followed up, hey, what you doing later on? What you doing here? And we just kind of kept in touch. But I noticed that it's the same way with a lot of the other relationships that you have, how it kind of started probably just with just a little thing. And then you just keep developing it. And you mentioned your music video that you're trying to get into. There was a rapper that was out here recently. I want you to talk about how is it that you were able to turn a simple photo. Guys, I want you to hear this story, people, because I need you guys to understand how everything matters, even the small things, right? So talk to people from that point of the photo all the way to the actual music video.
Yes, definitely. That's crazy. That photo came the same day I met you. So this guy named Gray Music, he's a vegan rapper. We met at the Veg Fest. I actually met his girlfriend. I didn't even meet Gray. I met his girlfriend. And I noticed the shirt. That's what caught my eye, was the shirt, the plant-based dripping. And I was like, can I take a picture of you? Because I was just with my camera getting content. And I was there to get content of somebody else, but I was just, me as a creator, I want to get content of other things. Anyways, so I took a picture of her, and it was something basic to me, nothing creative, just like a simple portrait picture, of her smiling into the camera, and sent it to her. Or actually, I posted it myself. That's what happened. I posted it myself because I supported the movement. It wasn't even the fact that I liked the picture. It was the fact that I support the movement and what he was trying to do, or what they're trying to do, the plant-based dripping movement. And that's what made me want to post the photo. And so from there, I guess they screenshotted the photo and they used it as the promo, because they're, big on social media. They do events all around the United States. And so they started recycling the photo. And I keep seeing it because I follow them. And I seen that Gray posted it, because I always saw his girlfriend post the photo because it's a picture of her, of course. But then I saw Gray post it, and I was like, but he didn't give me no photo credit. So I put on the comment.
You gotta tag the shooter, people. You gotta tag the shooter.
Yeah, he didn't give me no photo credit. So, I don't just let that slide. If you ask any of my friends that I took pictures of, they know I always make them give me photo credit. So under the comments, even though he has like 85,000 followers, I still went in the comments and said, photo by Jonathan Blake Vasquez, and tagged myself. And from there, he followed me. And then I noticed, I went into his profile, because I was like, yeah, that's right. I went to his profile, and I saw that he posted that he was going to be in Dallas this weekend. And I was like, oh, yeah, he is, because I had already seen the event on Facebook. It was going around, because I'm part of like vegan communities on Facebook. And so I reached out to him. I went to his DMs. Now that he followed me, now I can DM him. And so I think you could DM without following. But anyway,
yeah,
so
you could DM anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I just DM'd him. I was like, hey man, you need a videographer, a photographer? That's what I do. And he already knows that I do it because he saw that I took the picture. So, that kind of gave me leverage. And so I guess, I got to give him credit for even, trusting me, trusting me that I would be able to do this. And when he gave me that opportunity, I took that opportunity. I took advantage of that, because like I knew this was going to be something that would open more doors for me. So I made sure that I was going to do a great job on that opportunity.
Yeah, nah, you did a great job, man. Definitely check out his Instagram, check out his YouTube, because you're definitely gonna see that video there. And this brother, he's learning as you go along, and that's gonna go a long way. So let's switch gears a little bit. I know right now you've already just completed the process of getting your own place.
Oh yeah,
congratulations to you,
adulting.
And I wanted to talk about something real quick because I think it kind of fits the narrative. Because what I find nowadays is that a lot of brothers out there are scared to be alone. Like, they don't understand that, this process, and I think you could speak to this because there's things that you want to accomplish in your life, but you understand that you're not there yet, and you understand that you need to build yourself up to get there. So where a lot of dudes out there are focusing on women primarily, like that's all they care about, right? You have big goals, but you're not afraid to step out. You understand that isolation can be a gift because it gives you time to focus on yourself. So talk to me about, just focusing on yourself. What are some of the things that you want to kind of develop for yourself before you kind of get into any type of relationship with anybody?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, wow. It's funny. I just did a podcast about this. This is crazy. So, yeah, like I didn't realize, to be honest, I didn't realize what this could happen. Like me living by myself and what can happen from this. But I wasn't scared of it. You know what I mean? I have lived on my own before, but not by myself. I had roommates. So I kind of already have an idea what it's going to be like, but not to the full extent. So me living by myself now, it's a whole new game. Like, trust me, it's a whole new game from you having roommates to living by yourself, because you literally are by yourself. You're alone. You have nobody to talk to besides yourself. So what are you going to do? You're going to think. You're going to create. You're going to just be, you're just going to be in your own head if you're not on the internet or on your phone. You know what I mean? That's just something that I love. I embrace that stuff. Like, I want to create. I'm a creator, like we said earlier. And I want to think, I want to be in my own head. I want to be trapped and kind of meditate, And so this right here, and that's just a part of it. You're adulting as well. You have to pay your own bills. You're becoming a man. And some things that you can't have a woman around, or if a woman's listening to this podcast, you can't have a man around and distracting you. You know what I mean? You're in your early 20s. You're learning. I'm learning. I'm learning as I go. So I'm not established. I can't afford a woman right now. I can only afford myself. So and if I want a woman, I want to be able to treat her. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to take her out to dinner and cook her dinner as well. But I want to be able to provide for her. And I understand right now I can't provide for her. So, I let the women know straight up. Like, I'm not looking for a relationship if a woman is interested in me, and vice versa, So that's something that I have to take in consideration. I take in consideration anytime I'm talking to a woman, and they know what it is, and I know what it is.
And dudes, let me tell you something. Don't let anybody, your friends, a woman, or anybody force you to get out of your parents' home just to get your own place, just to please them.
Exactly.
I'm telling you from experience, the first time that I left, my parents' home, a lot of it was just because of peer pressure. A lot of the people around you, they living in basements, and you don't know people's situation. A lot of people's situation may not be like yours. Now, if you're in a rough situation at home, that's a different story. But a lot of times the people around you are in tough situations. And so they're kind of forced out for a number of reasons. So then they'll see you, who you might not be causing no issues at home. Everybody, everything is cool with you, but you feel like, oh, I'm 20 years old, I'm 19, or just because your friend been on his own since he was 16, that you feel like you got to rush into things. And so I'm just saying, guys, don't worry about the age, man. Just worry about what is it that you're doing. You see what I'm saying? So if you're home and you are stacking your paper, or you focusing on your business, or you trying to do things that's going to allow you to, when you do leave the home, that you're in a better position than trying to rush out, I'm just saying, don't get too caught up in all of that nonsense.
Man, you know, it hurts. I didn't even want to leave my house. That's what's crazy. Like, I did not want to leave. I was forced out, literally, because I love saving money. I'm frugal. If anybody knows, everybody knows that I'm frugal. That's just something that I didn't want to do. I wasn't even excited to really move into my new place, like, until I finally got there. But leading up to it, like, I was like depressed almost. Like, God damn it, I gotta spend $800 a month. Like, that's a whole extra bill. Like, I was not excited, but you know, I saw the beauty of it, and you know, I was like, wow, I'm actually, like, it's made me happier. You know, if you see me now, you can see a little pep in my step. But yeah, I wasn't looking forward to it at first, man. Like, I like the fact that I get to save money when you live with your parents, and you know what I'm saying, it wasn't a struggle. The only struggle was my stepdad. He was just stressed out. You know what I mean? Me being there, I don't know, I guess it added to his stress. So I don't want to cause any more stress to him, because you know, that's just bad health. And just wanted to, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and be an adult and just take this leap of faith and see where it goes. You know, I knew good things are gonna come out of it because I'm a positive guy, and I know that, you know, just if you stay positive, positive things will come. So that's all.
Shit, man. I listen, I'm not even gonna lie, man. The reason why I left my home, you know, my folks' home in the first place was over a woman.
Oh man.
And, you know, that was a long time ago. You know, I was simping hard. You know what I mean? I'm looking back at it. I'm like, man, I was simping hard. I had it made. I had a good job. I was driving a nice car. I was home. Nobody bothered me. But, you know, you bring women around you, and, you know, you start doing well, and they kind of encouraging you to get your own place so they can have a reason to stay by you, but still go back home.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Somehow they have a key, but
exactly.
They don't pay
Somehow
no
they
rent.
have a key. They don't contribute to nothing, but they get to kind of straddle the fence and keep that pressure on your neck to, you know, pop up with that ring. And so, you know, for me, I'm not even gonna lie, man, but I learned from it. And that's why I tell a lot of people out there, like, don't get forced into it. It's one thing if you home and you just living off of your folks, you're not doing anything for yourself, then obviously at some point you gotta be a man, or even a woman. You know, there's a lot of women that just kind of stay home and they just leeching, whoever you are, if you just leeching off of your folks, you got to understand that your folks are not going to be around forever, and they're going to be the only ones that's going to tolerate that. At some point in time, you're going to have to step out of that. And so, you know, there does have to be a maturation process. I'm just saying you don't have to speed that up just because of outside influences. You see what I'm saying? So the second time around, when I ended up, you know, leaving and, you know, relocating and everything like that, I was able to learn from that experience and learn that, listen, I need to be able to dwell alone, because that says a lot about you as a man. If you can't dwell alone, pay your own bills, do your own thing for a long period of time, then that just says a lot about you and your character.
Yeah, I need my alone time.
Word. Who don't need that alone time?
You gotta be productive, man. You gotta be working. You know what I'm saying? Going towards a goal. And I think that's why it works for me, because, you know, I'm trying to, there's things that I want to do, and there's things that my parents didn't really understand about entrepreneurship. They weren't raised the way I was raised, and the times are different. But, you know what I'm saying? This is something that I want to do, and then this helps out. You know, me staying by myself, it really helps me focus on what I want to do.
And you go to school too. I remember you mentioned that, you know, you're kind of getting a little bit fed up with the process of, you know, education.
School's too slow for me, man. That's just straight up. It's too slow for me. I'm too fast paced, and I'm on the go. But I don't know. For some reason, I try to look at it like a positive thing, because I always try to like look at things with positive. Like, maybe I do need to slow down. Maybe I'm going too fast. Maybe this can calm me down and just kind of get my thoughts together. And that's one way I look at it. Another way I look at it is it gives me resources as well. Like, I don't have access. I have access to a faster, you know, electronics than what I have right now. Like, I have faster computers over there. I can edit faster. I can do my turnover rate comes out like that when I'm on their computers, because they got the legitimate computers, legitimate equipment. So, you know, I try to look at the pros and cons of everything, and kind of just take it to the chin, because I'm not no quitter. Let me give you that. I'm not gonna just quit school in the middle of the semester. Like, I'm not just gonna do that. I feel like I just need to go ahead and complete my semester, and we'll see where it goes from there. My journey takes me.
My thing with education is, you see, what you're doing is that you're actually making it work for you. And you have a lot of people that are going to school and still don't know what they want to do, and they just wander the halls, or they feel like when they just, I just need this piece of paper because that's going to validate me. And that's just, that's not the way it goes, man. School is not for everybody. But there are a lot of people in there that are just faking the funk. And a lot of times college, like when it's funny, right? They talk about the basketball players with the NCAA, and everybody out there knows when it comes to student athletes, like, they get the easiest ride. You see what I'm saying? Especially if you're a top athlete. And a lot of them are going to college just out of a formality. They wouldn't even go to school for anything. They would want to go straight to the leagues. And so when you see them, when I hear people talk about, oh, your education, and I'm saying, what other type of profession can these guys do where they're making $20 million a year?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? What doctor's making $30 million a year? $100 million over 5 years, over 4 years. Who's doing that? So when you look at some of the top athletes, entertainers, where's that's who we glorify, right? So therefore, it goes to show you that the education is not for everybody.
It's not. And really, I'm there I'm not even there to get a piece of paper. Like, honestly, I'm there to learn, to gain knowledge on the things that I want to do. Like, literally, I'm there. I'm not even in no core classes right now. Like, I haven't taken any core class. I'm just there taking the classes that I want to take. Literally. And they happen to be credited, but hey, if I get something out of it, cool. But I'm not really worried about it, because you know who's going to be my boss? Me.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, you got to make sure, look, whatever it is that you're going to school for, you got to make sure that your job kind of connects with what it is that you're going to school for. You got a lot of people that spend 4 years in school getting psychology degrees, but yet they end up working for the city, or they, because they found out that you could retire in 10 years as a sanitation worker. It's just like, it's a complete opposite of what it is that you went to school for, because what you realize is once you came out of school, you got to pay back them loans. You just need money. So therefore, whatever job, whatever opportunity that comes your way, if they offer you a little title or something like that, you're going to go with that. Forget what it is that you went to school for. You could have went to school for anything, astrology, whatever. All of a sudden, you manager at Macy's or something, like, it's just, at the end of the day, people are going to gravitate towards whatever pays them more, which is, it's a shame, because at the end of the day, what happens is you got a bunch of people coming out of school ending up doing jobs that they really don't want to do.
Exactly.
Just so they can have money in their pocket to pay back these loans. So you kind of start off in a negative. So being an entrepreneur, we need more entrepreneurs out there. But, when I say but, everybody can't be an entrepreneur. Just like everybody can't be an actor or a basketball player. Everybody can't be LeBron James. Everybody can't be Michael Jordan. There's a certain work ethic. There's a certain sacrifice that goes along with this type of lifestyle. And most people don't want that. They want the easy route that generates the highest return. See what I'm saying? So, it's important. I like what you're doing. The fact that you're making school work for you. And that's what I'm trying to say to people is, whatever it is that you're doing in school, don't just show up to class and leave and think that that's it. Make sure that you create some sort of relationships that you can leverage. Make sure that, you create some sort of opportunity for yourself to where you could get, once you get out of school, that you're in a better situation as a result of it, and not just, the other way around. So.
Exactly. That's what it's about. And the relationships thing's important too, because these people could honestly work with you eventually. I see photographers that are dope. They're not even getting paid in my class. You know what I mean? They're not even getting paid for their work. Like, I'm not even close to as good as they are, but somehow I made it so, because I'm more business minded, I know how to get paid off my work. they're not even getting paid, but they're super dope. And I just see so much potential in all these people, and just that's why I always stick, have those relationships, because I know that's I can see the beauty in that person, and that's what some people just they don't see beauty in people like that.
No, I agree. So let's talk about real quick with the podcast. What advice do you give the people who are trying to start a podcast? I know you talked to me a little bit about some ideas that you're going to be coming up with to kind of help people understand what the process is. So what kind of tidbits can you give people now and then, let them know what you got coming up for more serious people out there?
Definitely. Well, if you're looking to start a podcast, figure out what you want to talk about first, what kind of content you want to put out. Once you get that down, then you can get the basics. I hope you have a computer, a laptop, and you have a GarageBand is the software, or that usually comes with like Apple computers or something like that. Or you have another software that records. You can record a podcast literally on your phone. There's no excuse. If you want to do it that bad, record it on your phone. You got a recorder on your phone. Everybody got a smartphone these days. There's no excuse to not record a podcast. It's so easy. That's what I don't get. You know what I mean? A lot of people want to start a podcast, but don't realize you could record a podcast right off your phone. And then they have apps where you can literally Anchor, where you can record a podcast and it puts it out to all the streaming medias that you can get it on. So there's really no excuse. Other than that, I can't give you too much information, you know what I'm saying? Because I learned my lesson on giving too much information recently. So you're gonna have to go to my Instagram if you really want the details, and that's gonna cost a little fee.
Hey, listen, you gotta pay to play, man. The knowledge ain't free.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, when it comes to podcasts, audio, right? Audio. Think about it like this. Audio in general is so important. If you look at any type of like production, music, movies, they have a dedicated group of people just for audio. I even watched a movie the other day. I can't remember the director, but he shot it on an iPhone 5S or iPhone 6S. And the one thing that he said his budget went towards, like he couldn't like skimp around on, was the audio. He still made sure that he had a good audio team to take care of that, because he knew that was the one thing that if the audio isn't what it needs to be, you're finished. So when it comes to podcasts with the audio, you got to understand that might be something in the long run that you got to invest in.
Yeah, that's why I haven't put a new vlog out, because of my audio. I need to upgrade. Just to be honest, man, it hurts me getting on my ass about this. So, you know what? I'm listening to him now. I'm going to apply it. But yeah, the audio is very important. And audio is huge, man. I think it's bigger than video in a way, because you can't just watch videos and brush your teeth at the same time, usually. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people don't watch videos and take a shower at the same time. But you can listen to audio at the same time. And so that's why these podcasts is going to be big in the future, because you can listen to this while you're grocery shopping, while you're in your car, while you're taking a shower, while you're wiping your ass, whatever you're doing, you can listen to it. And video is big too, but audio, man, that's the wave.
Yeah, actually, what I may do, and I know you're thinking about it as well, is combining the audio of podcasts with visual, having a video podcast, because I see a lot of YouTubers out there are doing that, and just live streaming in general is becoming so huge now with Twitch and YouTube, Facebook Lives, and so there's so many places that you could take this, and really there's no excuse, guys. Like he says, it really doesn't matter so much as far as starting off.
Yeah.
You can start with what you have. Now, eventually, as you go along, then you may want to get some additional tips. So I definitely say check my man out, because he's definitely gonna provide you some insight to help you get started, so that way you don't make some of the mistakes that we make along the way. We save you some time and save you some money. But I think it's definitely an avenue that people should definitely explore, especially if you have a niche or you have just something that you can talk about. I think podcast is a great way to get your voice out there. for businesses. You see guys like Gary Vee's like committed to it now.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
he's pumping out the Gary Vee audio experience that he has going on over there. Obviously, I know he has a team, but at the end of the day, he's the show. So regardless of what equipment you have, if you take Gary Vee out of the equation, nobody's gonna watch.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So, at the end of the day, the content is the king. And so if you feel like you can bring something to the table, explore this option. That's what we're doing. You see what I'm saying? And, there's definitely gonna be a lot more to come.
Yeah, and the topic that you end up picking or what your show's about, just make sure you're being yourself, and it's going to come out. It's going to be organic. Your following is going to be organic, and it's going to be beautiful.
That's what it is. That's all I have to say
for that.
So before you go, man, because we're going to wrap this up real quick.
Okay.
Let the people know what you got on the way.
Oh, yeah.
And once again, where to find you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We got more podcasts coming out. Very, very good content coming out. We might have some new shows, new podcast shows. You know what I mean? I can't really, it's kind of got to keep it, a secret a little bit, top secret, but yeah, we got something coming out. We got something up our sleeves. Also, more videos are coming out and beautiful photos. Of course, that's what I do every day. So it's coming. And maybe a movie might come out of this. You may see me on Netflix one day. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you definitely will.
Yeah, I can't tell y'all too much because you know what I'm saying. You just gotta wait and see. But if you really want to keep updated on what I'm doing, what I'm working on, you can always follow me on Instagram at Jonathan Blake Vasquez. And that's really, you can find me on all social medias at Jonathan Blake Vasquez.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the show. I'm signing off. You know where to find me at Built For Anything. Check out the website, builtforanything.com. Check out the YouTube at Built For Anything, as well as the Instagram at Built For Anything. Thank you guys for listening. I will catch you on the next episode. Peace and love, y'all. We out.